Hey, Nick, we need a tagline for the podcast.
No.
Real life opinions. Movie reviews told by fans and not critics.
Okay, happy Canada Day, guys.
Woo! All the good stuff.
That's all. Yeah, there's stuff that goes on with the podcast before the podcast starts?
We ramble before, during, and after all our podcasts.
Isn't that like a movie within a movie?
There was
oh my God, we're breaking the fourth wall?
There was a lot of rambling going on, like an hour before the podcast started.
It was a lot more than an hour. But happy Canada Day, everybody. For our Canadian listeners, and then we got that one American.
That one American will be like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Happy Independence Day in 3 days. Good for you guys.
Yeah, good for you guys.
We'd love to be out of British rule here, but we're not.
Right? But we get our day first.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like they're just like July needs a holiday. Why don't we make it something patriotic, right? I'm sure it has nothing to do with anything in real life.
Canada's birthday or the Americans' independence.
Mm-hmm.
But the Americans' independence actually does have a meaning on July 4th.
Yeah.
Do you think that if we ever got rid of British rule, that we would have an Independence Day?
I think we would make it Canada Day anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So here's a question. We keep saying Independence Day. Why aren't we doing Independence Day?
Because we're not American?
We're not doing it on Independence Day?
And
anything else?
If we have a podcast that's on Independence Day,
are you going to actually post it today?
We'll do Independence Day.
Are you actually going to post it today, or is it going to take a couple days?
Well, the only time that it doesn't actually post on the day is when, for whatever reason, Spotify kicks it back to me and I don't notice.
Oh.
It's happened like 3 or 4 times now.
But that's because Spotify wants us to pay.
Yes,
okay.
Spotify wants us to pay so they can make money off of us.
Fuck Spotify.
I was gonna say that, but if they shut us down, I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, because they listen to every little Hicktown podcast and things they're doing it.
So listen, this is a legitimate city we live in. Okay, Hicktown.
Oh, I'm just saying.
We're a Hick city. Come on.
So just to square off, just so you guys know, the British North American Act, today known as the Constitution Act of 1867, created on June 20th, 1868, and the Governor Lord Monarch signed, proclaimed that requests all Her Majesty's Queen Victoria's subjects across Canada to celebrate on the 1st of July.
So it actually does.
10 days later.
So Canada Day is actually the 20th of June.
Technically, that's when it was signed. It took them 11 days to organize the party.
Pass the bill, etc.
Yeah, so that is my interpretation of that.
Well, because we can't let the Americans have like their big July 4th party with that. We got to have something close.
I think we can let Americans have whatever they want. Keep it down there. Don't bring it to us, except for your movies.
They have better fireworks than we do.
Speaking of American movies, we're not doing an American movie today.
We aren't.
Yeah, on Canada Day, we celebrate A Canada, the movie. No,
yeah.
That would be awesome.
Canada? Is that a real movie?
It probably is. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Canadian movies out there.
Yeah.
But we are doing a Canadian movie, at least.
Very Canadian.
Yeah.
I'll have a point I'll make later on, actually. But yeah.
I was trying to think of a more Canadian movie in my head, and I have a hard time thinking of one.
Fubar?
Oh, God,
no.
no.
Albertan movie.
No, it's still Canadian. Alberta's in Canada. So, I mean, that's like, well, in 1 week,
yeah.
1 week ignores the entire Maritimes in Quebec.
Yeah.
I'm
saying it's a more American or a more Canadian movie.
But I'm okay with them skipping Quebec.
Yeah. Sure, okay. Yeah. But I'm just saying. It's
in that bike that he had, could you imagine him going this way, then this way? That would be weird.
Well, he does go home, so, he could have just kept riding.
I think he would need a better helmet.
He doesn't ride home, though.
I don't think his helmet was the issue. It was his goggles.
Well, you don't think a helmet with a visor could have helped him out immensely, exposed those little teeny tiny goggles he's got on that helmet?
He could have broke his neck with a chin guard.
His whole issue was the way he was sitting on the bike.
Well, yeah. I mean,
have you though? Have you?
It's an old style bike, so I mean that's how it was.
Knees aren't supposed to touch either way.
Yeah. I mean, I have an issue with the idea of American to Canadian, like in the U.S. they are so American, and it's just like everything is so goddamn American, and you can't do 50 states in a movie in that. So I only say that because I think Canada is so much in its own diversity that trying to find something that is everything that is Canada is impossible, and we should like enjoy the aspects in which we love most about it, because we are so diverse and different from the other provinces.
Well, how many states did Wild Hogs do?
Ooh,
Good. I don't think it was that many, but they probably did 8 or 9.
I'll pose the phrasing to you this way. You can go out, let's say you go out to the store and you can't find 100% apple juice, right? You're going to buy the one that's closest to 100% apple juice. And that's how I think of this movie. Like, it's not.
Yeah, no,
it's
I'm
not
not
a 100%
arguing that.
Canadian movie. Like I say, it doesn't go to Quebec and the Maritimes, but like, it's one of the most Canadian movies I could think of offhand.
It's an argument that ends up the answer is up to you.
I don't think I've ever actually seen Fubar Beginning Again, but I know it's like a.
I've seen them both, and they're for what they are, they're absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
For what they are.
I haven't.
I
I am not that redneck. I have never been interested in Trailer Park Boys and Fubar and anything.
Me
of
neither.
That style.
Me neither. I totally agree.
Yeah.
My son convinced me to watch it on a different aspect, and I watched it through the idea of amateur filmmaking, because the whole concept of Fubar, that this company was going to document this trip they're on, and I watched it through that lens, and it was very different than watching it through a stoner's lens or an alcoholic lens.
Don't even know the story.
Guy gets nut cancer, and he's going to get it cut out, so he's depressed. Him and his best friend decide to go on a big tour across up and down Alberta before it gets cut out to celebrate whatever his nut. I think he might have named it or something like that. So, and that's what it's all about. The last days of his left nut or right nut. I don't remember.
So it's 1 week just in Alberta only, and
with one nut.
One nut.
Yeah, it should be called One Nut, not 1 week.
Okay.
Maybe 1 week got the idea from Fubar, because I do believe Fubar is the older of the two movies.
Yes.
Yes.
This one is 208.
Yeah.
And I don't know where Fubar
was 04-ish era. I don't know the
I think that's
exact
right.
dates.
That sounds right.
I know I found it at Video Update, so that would tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, right.
02.
02. Geez, even
Fubar's 02. Fubar 2 is 010,
Mhm.
which is an incorrect way of saying that, but
Yes.
you know what I mean.
It works.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. The similar premises in this movie. I didn't realize the correlation between the two of them.
It's pretty vague, but it's there.
Yeah, well, cancer. Let's go on a road.
Cancer is everywhere all the time. That sort of thing. So
Rewatching this movie. Oh, hi. We have a Mark.
We have coffee.
Yeah, coffee has showed up.
Maybe a premature break.
No, we're gonna keep going. Mark, hi. You're on the podcast. Oh, now he's shy. Is this one mine? Now he's shy.
grab that middle one. It would be mine.
Fine.
Oh,
Thanks.
yeah. The other one's sitting a little deeper in the saddle there, so I thought it might have been mine.
So I inadvertently, I didn't realize when I picked this movie.
You were upside down when you picked this movie? You said invertedly, right?
Inadvertent.
Oh, okay.
So not to get on the depressing note, my sister-in-law just died of the affliction that Joshua Jackson has in this movie. We found out about it. I didn't realize he had pancreatic cancer when I picked this movie, and when we watched it again, like, holy crap. We found out on our way home May long weekend that she was sick, and she passed away 3 weeks ago.
I'm sorry.
That's sad, yeah.
So it was crazy how fast pancreatic cancer takes you in real life.
It's one of the worst.
Yeah, I had no idea. Like, so when he takes this trip in this movie, it's legit. Like, that's the one that's gonna wipe you out within a month. So
The doctor gave him decent odds. I mean, 1 in 10 is still decent odds for something that'll.
that's 90% death.
Yeah.
That's not decent odds. 90% of anything is not decent.
No, he could be that
10%.
1% in that
10%, not
Well,
even
no.
1%, 10%.
Right. So 10%. He could be that 1 out of 10 people that actually survives this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take
Let's
if 90% odds that something bad's going to happen. I'm not gonna be like, hey, there's a 10% chance. That's
So
not
you're saying there's a chance.
So what you're saying is you tend to float on the negative side of things, where I'm going to focus on that 90% rather than focus on the 10%. Is that what you're saying, Jeff? I'm asking.
I'm saying 90's a large percentage.
Well, we all agree with that.
Yeah. And to ignore that 90's a large percentage, yeah.
I'd still take the chance.
That's the percentage of me not being in a good chance.
So would you take the chance and just go get the treatment, or would you take the chance and do what he did?
See, I thought of Deadpool. I mean, obviously not when I watched it the first time, but I thought
This
of
movie totally reminds me of Deadpool.
when he finds out he has cancer, he leaves his girlfriend because he doesn't want to see him go down that rabbit hole of shit. And that's what I thought he was going to do. And he didn't. He just chose, he's like, I need some time for me. Wow.
Oh, somebody's on their phone playing while we're doing a podcast. What the
I
hell?
thought I had that on silent. Wow, first we have a mark show up, and then we have my phone go off.
Oh, it's
This is going to be the best podcast
a good thing nobody was
ever!
playing on their phone.
I mean, I've answered 2 texts already, but I keep my phone on vibrate. So.
Yeah, I did not realize my phone was not on vibrate.
I would have ignored it, but it was my kids. So I'm a good person.
So, Deadpool takes off. Not like that because he doesn't take off. That's what you're getting at?
I'm getting at, the fact that Deadpool chooses to leave his girlfriend so she can't see him deteriorate, because that's what cancer does to you. Whereas in this movie, he doesn't want to leave her. He just wants a trip for himself to just live life for one last time. But why he chooses to keep her hanging on, is that selfish or is that noble?
I think they're both selfish.
Okay, but also
Both scenarios.
I have to. They are, but also in 1 week too. Like he says, he's leaving. He wants to go do this. Don't cancel the wedding or anything. And all she wants is for him to stay home.
Which is not not an unfair reaction. She's very much in the right to have that reaction.
There's a lot of talk of death in my household. And we see, I shouldn't say we, my wife sees a lot of family holding on to people that are ready to go and don't want them. And that's what I see when I see 1 week. She wants to hold on to what precious little time she can, and he just wants the last chance at life. That's the way I see this, right? And,
well, that's exactly what it is, but it's still, like you said, selfish. So
I see it as she wants him to fight something, and that's the mentality. Like for me, you fight to the last fingernail is ripped off. You don't give up. You don't quit. You never do. And being so early now, if this was a fought state where it would have been 2 years and we're falling down, I would totally relate to that, but I don't. She instinctively says, you need to fight. You need to fight this. And that's what she wanted. She wasn't clinging on to what I would think as somebody who's ready to go, because I don't know that he was ready to go. I never took him as, he was lost as a person before he ever got cancer. Mm-hmm. He had no idea of life. It was the cancer that triggered the search for who he was before he went. Well, so it's I got a different message from that.
The whole scene at the beginning because he always has those mental flashes, right? Like his little mini daydreams there. And the first thing he did in his daydream when he was told was shoot himself in the head.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, those are one of the first 3 things.
Yeah, it's like the first 90 seconds of the movie, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the third thing is, like, how long do I got?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. See, I can sympathize with that belief that, you want to fight, but, what time you have left is precious. And like you said, he's got all these regrets in his life. And this is like his one chance. Like you find out at the end of the movie, he finally wrote that book and he finally got published, right?
Yeah.
The book that he's always wanted to do. You see throughout this whole movie, everything that his core memories that had gone with him all of them got chased away on
See,
him.
I always thought the book was literally just about his road trip, and that was it. And so, whatever his idea was for his previous novel that he was trying to get published, went out the window, and he just made a book based on the road trip.
But when I phrase it that way, I mean like he always wanted to get a book. When I
Okay,
say that
okay.
he got his book finally,
Yeah, okay. I see what you mean.
not the book he was trying to that he wrote already, but he finally accomplished that
right.
dream. Of
Okay,
his.
I see what you're saying.
So did he actually die or did he survive?
They left it, to me, they left it ambiguous.
Yeah.
We don't know.
And it's not a true story, contrary to how well it was played out. It very much felt like a true story,
No.
but it wasn't.
My wife thought at the end of it, at the end
That
of
was
it,
him.
yeah, that the narrator was him.
I
guess
thought
like
so
I
too.
don't.
See, that was one of my pet peeves. He had no relationship to the story, to the movie, to anything, other than he had a nice, smooth voice.
See, and
There was, if he was a friend or if he was but there was no connection to it at all.
See, and I have to say with the narrator, that mellow tone. I had to watch this movie twice. That narrator put me to sleep.
He does have one of
He
those
did-
silky soft voices.
I agree. To me, that was one of the setbacks. It's just like
At the same
it didn't
time, do you
fit for
expect
me.
high excitement
what he was
from
doing.
that narrator? Like,
No.
that would not fit.
No, I
Well, no
totally
one is asking for that, but
I expected the low and the monotone narrator, but he's got one of those voices when he's talking that it's just like, I'm going to make you relax and you're screwed because you're sleeping.
is he
I want
anybody?
Liam Neeson.
Right?
Is he anybody of significance?
I saw the name, did not ring a bell. Didn't
Yeah, I
look
didn't know.
I didn't recognize it
Yeah.
either. So back to the beginning a little bit. Little Kit Smith's, is that the terminology? I'm probably saying it wrong.
I don't
With the
even
bike.
know what you're talking about.
A fate with the bike.
Kismet?
Kismet.
Kids,
Kismet.
Is that not what I said?
Kismet.
No,
What did I say?
Kitsmits.
Kitsmits?
Something like that.
Kitsmits from here on out.
I'm calling the dictionary people.
And we were talking
We're
about
right
off
here.
air about the bike. Like, I like that the old guy selling the bike. Yeah, he just happens to stumble across it. Like sometimes little stories of fate and kismet. Kismet?
Close enough. Yeah.
Kismet. Those are cute little nods and winks, and lets it go for cheaper. Insists he buys it almost.
I'm not bargaining on the price. Okay, I'll take it. Okay, fine, I'll bargain on the price.
I'll give it to you.
No, you don't have to.
In the market? Oh, not really.
Well, I wasn't going to sell it, but I lost my eyesight and couldn't renew my license. Want to take it for a spin?
We talked about it earlier, how awkward he looked on that bike.
He looked like he was riding a kid's bike. Like, obviously you can't see me, but he's got these hulking-looking shoulders and these tiny knees pushed together, and he's on a motorcycle.
He's just tall and lanky is the thing. He's like
not,
6'3", isn't he?
No.
I'm sure he was tall. The only thing I noticed that really stuck out to me about Joshua Jackson is he looks a bit like George Clooney. Up close with the close-up shots, he's got a very similar eyes.
I've never
And
thought that in my life.
No.
You know what?
He
Now
did.
that you mention it, though, I see it.
yeah,
Now
they're
that
not
it's mentioned-
not like a ton. We're not
No,
talking
they're-
brothers,
They're not
but there's some.
doppelgangers.
The way he smiled in his eyes would be very Clooney-esque.
But, the way he was riding that motorcycle very much reminded me of a toddler learning how to ride a tricycle.
Yeah, right.
You know what?
One thing. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
I don't remember. He was shorter than Emilio Estevez in the Mighty Ducks. Like, he's not that tall.
I mean, he was like.
He was a teenager.
Oh crap! I was gonna say, but that's okay.
Now I want to watch Mighty Ducks.
1.88 meters is how tall in feet.
That's 6 feet.
Yeah.
6'2". So
6'2"
Is
is.
this all
I
my
was
husband?
wrong closer than
Uh,
you were wrong.
You were wrong.
I didn't give a number.
Wow.
What's the bike style? I want to say a
an
Nordic.
Norton.
Oh, it's a Norton, right?
So that's more like a beginner style bike. That
It was
size?
an 800.
Was that an 800?
I know. That's what
Okay.
I was shocked to see it. It was,
Because it was a smaller looking bike, which
but
is
that's
why.
that year and that style. They've always been like that. That's, I think that was a 40s kind of style.
Well, because obviously the gentleman who was selling it was older, so obviously the bike was older.
Well, that doesn't mean nothing.
Well,
like
but
my,
the way he's talking about how, like, I've had this bike and now you have to get rid of it now. So
my 70-year-old dad has a 2020 Harley Davidson. Like it's
nice.
a tri-glide though, so it's a 3-wheeler. Man, that thing can rip. Oh my god!
I saw a 4-wheeler the other day.
Really?
And I'm like, I kind of want this. I'm not gonna lie.
I see a 4-wheeler and I think ATV.
Well, but it looked just like a motorcycle, but with 4 wheels. Like
I've never seen the 4-wheel.
I just
one.
saw it was leaving Canadian Tire the other day.
Yeah, I've seen the Slingshot, which is a 3-wheel, but it's 2 wheels out
The
front.
Spider. The Spider's another version
Yeah,
of the
Spider's a
3-wheeler.
3-wheel one.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen that one.
I know Kathy and I were talking about that. She's been harassing me for a while to get another bike.
Maybe it was.
And
the
I
one
went
Tire.
online. I found the same bike, the 2000 or no, this one's a 1993 Suzuki Intruder 1400 for $2,000. Needs a new battery, needs a carb, and I'm just on the fence.
See, and I hear Suzuki and I think crotch rocket.
Yeah, really.
Oh, you know what? A Suzuki, maybe not an Intruder, but I guess I bought a Boulevard. brand
Boulevard
new.
is the evolution of the Intruder.
Yeah, it's very close to buying a Boulevard because it's a little bit smaller stance for a guy like me. At least
They're
the
lower
Boulevard-
in the center, which actually the Intruder was pretty low too. But the Marauders or the Boulevards, they still seat quite low in the middle, and they're you were probably odds are you were looking at an M50, which is like the 800 series, which look
for a
beefy and thick.
For a guy my size, I wouldn't want anything.
Well, you don't
bigger
need
than
any more than that.
Sorry, this is completely off the bike topic. Jeff, your hat keeps catching my eye. Does it says bad cop, no donut.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, ADHD.
Breaking the law.
Back to the bike.
I don't ever wear this one to scouts for obvious reason. I love this hat.
Oh, you should wear that when we have the.
When we have the cops, when I go to the cop shop, I will do. My wife has given me. My wife sees enough motor vehicle collisions where she's just like, no motorbikes, no motorbikes. Now that my dad
Oh, sorry.
is at the age that,
We want them into motor collisions.
well,
Oh, no.
I know.
Wait, what?
The insurance is up to date.
My
Yeah.
she realizes my dad needs a riding partner. So, have you guys ever heard of a Ural motorcycle?
Yeah.
Yes.
I want one so bad. I know they're not super speedy, but oh my god, they just look like everything I want. in
Is that like a
car.
Vespa?
No, a Ural is a sidecar, but it's a 2-wheel drive. So the sidecar, so you can go 4x4 in this thing. It's so cool.
Is it so? It's a 3-wheel bike.
Well, it's a motorbike with a sidecar that has an axle running from the sidecar to, like, you can take off the sidecar, but it's a pain in the butt because there's an axle that runs between the two of them.
Okay,
It's-
I've seen sidecars, and I know they can. They can be deadly if you don't know how to ride with a sidecar.
Well, the thing with the sidecar is if you learn how to drive with a sidecar, you'll be better than if you learn to ride a bike and then hop into a sidecar because they turn differently, right?
It's like pulling a trailer.
I don't know. I don't know.
But
So Euro is the brand of motorcycle. Sidecar is another add-on to whatever you're. So okay,
well,
because there's lots of Euros here, but none of them have sidecars. So you're looking at a Euro something
I'm
something.
not saying Euro.
You-
Ural. URAL.
Euro.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I heard Euro too.
That's
So did
what
I.
heard.
Yeah, my pronunciation. Me not speaking English no well, okay?
What, your pronunciation?
Yeah,
what
say that
about?
word again.
Yeah.
Now, if you had typed us that, I would have assumed you had incorrectly.
I was gonna say if you would have typed it, it would still been wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, here they are. They look older, but yeah, no, the sidecar sits further back so that the sidecar tire is on the axle. So that would be interesting.
It'd be very cool.
I would do it.
I don't know about that. It'd be interesting
Would-
for sure.
Would you do a Can-Am Spider or would you do like a Tri-Glide like my dad has?
Like a tri-glide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't trust myself, and as a guy who's injured my knee, like
Oh, there's one
wanted
for
knee
Jeff.
surgery just from falling
The
off
twin.
a bicycle.
Mhm.
The tank.
I don't trust myself
Oh, I
on
was thinking
a
that one there.
motorized
Like, we have
2-wheel
the
vehicle.
tank.
So if the 4 wheels, you got stability, and
You can buy a Euro with 2 sidecars. You can.
Can you really?
There's also one that looks like a tank.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
What are the
Well,
tank
Not
ones?
really. It's
how
it's
much
like
road does that take?
I'm
up?
that I am that unable to be cool. It's just like this is the minivan of
I was
motorcycles.
gonna say, toss in your man card right now. So.
Yeah.
Oh. What was it good? You were saying something, Laura, and I was gonna say something to it, and now I forgot. What were you talking about? Yeah.
Anyway, what's happened after the motorcycle?
So he gets the motorcycle, and he's in Toronto, and he decides he overhears somebody, like they were on bicycles, and they said, "Oh, this
Oh
is
yeah,
when it started."
the kids from.
I thought he started his trip before then.
He just started it.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He
And then
wasn't
he was
going
going
to
to
go
turn
very
around.
far.
Yeah, he was going to turn around because his wife said 2 days, so he was only going to go a
He
little
said
bit.
2 days. He was,
He said
yeah,
2
yeah,
days.
Yeah,
sorry.
and well, his wife told him he should only be gone 2 days, and either way, whatever. So he goes, and then he's like, okay, I'm done. I can't do this. And then he sees these 2 kids riding bicycles, and they're like, oh yeah, we're biking to Victoria, and they're still in Ontario at this point. And he's like,
I think they gave him 7 weeks. 7 weeks to get the.
It was a big, it was
They
a
had
bet
6
or a dare.
weeks.
These 2 young kids are supposed to pedal bike across Canada or something or
Because they
whatever.
were looking for a Canadian Tire to turn in the bikes because what
Yeah,
they decided was
every
every
certain amount
time
of kilometers they
when
exchange their bikes.
when one bike broke down,
Yeah,
and then they weren't allowed to accept a ride from anybody and blah 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 blah. But they had 6 weeks to get from Newfoundland to BC.
It's possible. I wouldn't want to do the mountains on a pedal bike. I would not.
their freaking stamina made me out of breath.
Yeah.
I used to bike to Sylvan Lake from Rocky a couple times over the summer as a kid.
Which highway would you take?
11.
Yeah, a highway 11's fairly flat for the most part. Like it's a little hilly.
Yeah.
If you were to take the one that goes past
93.
no.
Well, they didn't build the new shit then. Like if you went to Sylvan Lake to Rocky back then, you had to go the old way.
Mhm.
They didn't have all the fancy new stuff they got now. So there was a couple hills in there that were interesting, but nothing traumatic.
93 takes you to Columbia Icefields, but it goes like even to Bashaw, I think.
93? No, 93 goes between Banff and Jasper, and that's
Is that it?
Pretty
Which one am I
much
thinking
it.
of? There's a highway that goes to Bashaw that takes you all the way out west there, and I can't remember.
All the way to where?
You're thinking of
From-
53.
I know
You're
there's
thinking of
Oh,
53.
well, that explains the 3 then, at least in my
Yeah.
head. So
I know there's a highway out of Wetaskiwin that takes you right up to Rocky.
13 doesn't take.
Yeah,
you
there's some
over
weird
Rocky.
ones, weird roads in there.
There was one that Mark and I just took one on the way back. Wherever you turned it, takes you from there right up to the
In Wetaskiwin?
brings you up the back end, the back way of Wetaskiwin.
The only 2 highways coming out of Wetaskiwin is 13 and 2A. Those are the only 2 highways coming out of there.
unless it's a side, secondary, like side.
Like after Hobima, you could
No,
take.
I'm not talking about one of the main ones.
So if you go straight through past the golf course road, where does that take you?
That eventually takes you to the. There's a little racetrack there, and then it turns to gravel.
It was the same road that we were on when we went to the scout camp run by Chris and Darlene.
Because I know when you used to go to Rocky,
Yeah, it was out on, it was,
you had
at that Bible
21, jump over to 2A.
Yeah.
You
That's right,
had
that was
go
Brooklyn.
through Wetaskiwin,
Okay.
Pinoga. You could jump over 13
It was
over
like the last
to
year.
Winfield and take the Cowboy
Winfield,
Highway
Helen,
22
and-
south. There's a lot of variations in there, so I don't know where.
You could take 13 all the way to Alder Flats and then get to there, but
And that's
there's not a straight highway.
straight enough for me.
13 straight to Alder Flats.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, then
Yeah,
you
straight
gotta.
to Alder Flats, and you
Yeah.
gotta head south again,
It's
right?
straight enough for me.
the most direct route we found is to go down and turn off and go turn at Lacombe and then go through Gull Lake and that.
That's 12.
That
that's
sounds about right.
that's 12.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I-
And then that brings you just slightly north of Rocky.
That's the one that I discovered was really hilly when pulling my
Uh,
pulling my motorhome last year.
oh, when you get close to Rocky, yeah, it gets insane
yeah,
there.
and then I took 11 on my way back. I'm just like, why didn't I take this way?
Well, 12 is way more scenic. So is 13.
I,
It's a
I-
much prettier drive.
I didn't want the hills with my motor or my fifth
Fifth
wheel.
wheel.
But now that we haven't talked about the movie here for
I tried
20
getting
minutes.
us back on track
We
earlier.
talked about
What?
the movie and then we.
yeah, we
What's
got
It's
that?
been 1
Highways
week
in
since we talked
Alberta.
about this movie.
I know.
So
Any of
now-
our non-Alberta people are like, what are they talking about?
Been
Or
1
what
week since you looked at me.
Ah,
Oh, sorry.
But we're gonna have to take a break here, guys. So we'll be
Already?
back. So we're back from our quick commercial break there. We're gonna have to get like Log Dryer's Waltz or something like that for a commercial break. And he goes burling down and down Whitewater. That's where the log riders step lightly. So what are we? We guest hasn't left Ontario quite yet.
Not quite yet.
Yeah, we got stuck on the bike things.
Well, that's because he rides it weird.
He does ride it weird, and those goggles do not do him any favors, right?
Yeah, they do a lot of favors if you don't have a visor.
Well, yes.
No, they're huge. They're just magical, and we'll get to that later.
He should guest buy a helmet that has a visor on it. That's my advice to you.
But then you lose the aspects of the wind and the whatever. I mean, there's a reason why people like the open faces.
We're at the whole point where he actually brings up that he doesn't believe in God.
Well, that's a hard conversation to have. Some people are very ajarred when you tell them that. It's a hard pill for
like
people.
her face right there.
Hey, Jesus is giving him the
So-
finger.
That is only an issue. Like again, this is like you haven't talked about this. Oh my God! Like you've
Yeah,
never brought this up
She
before
wouldn't
you
have cared if you would have said it before, but she didn't think that was the time to do it.
If you're ready to propose to somebody, you should have a baseline of some form of religious bias towards them or whatever, like some idea, right?
To be fair, me and my wife have been married for 5 years now. We've been together for about 13. I still
Amateur.
don't.
Amateur.
Right?
I'm sorry I didn't get with my wife when I was a teenager like the rest of you.
No,
Or
she was a
husband.
teenager. I was.
That's a crime.
Mark and Laura,
Not yet.
how old were you guys when you guys got together?
Young.
Young?
I was young.
Yeah. Look at you guys robbing the cradle. I went for the cougar. I went for the older lady.
My wife is 3.5 years older than me.
How old were you when you guys got together?
19.
19, eh? So she was the cradle robber, eh?
Like technically, I was turning 20 after our first date. I would turn 20 12 days later. So
I turned 30 before our first dating anniversary. So I was 29-ish when we met.
good math.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Kathy was 17 when we first met, but that would put her 18. Oh,
That would
8
put
months
her-
later.
That would put her as a conviction. in certain-
Still not illegal. Still not
In
illegal.
certain states.
Yeah, so thank God we live in a province.
Yeah.
Yes, the province of Montana.
Yeah, I don't feel like the atheist thing is a big.
No, like I said, I don't
Contention
think
points?
she was mad. She just was mad that he didn't tell her.
Mhm.
So
Well, I'd be mad that she didn't ask.
Well, yeah.
I mean, religion is incredibly important to some people and incredibly unimportant to others. So, I mean, I know people that get incredibly contentious about that. I can't marry somebody that doesn't fit into my religion. So, it's crazy in my
ironic, 'cause
mind
those
too.
people are pretentious.
What's that?
So, which is ironic because those people are pretentious.
Well, I told my wife when we got married, you could either have a Catholic priest or in a church, but I wouldn't do both. We ended up eloping anyway, so it all worked
We
out
got
for the
married
best.
in a park by my uncle,
So,
who was a licensed JP.
was it legal?
Yeah, he was a
Okay.
licensed JP. So
We-
No, it was a gunshot wedding.
no, Andrew
I
didn't come around until
totally-
2 years later.
I totally see Mark with a shotgun. I could totally see it.
Yes, but it's connected. But it's connected to a Wii.
We had a shotgun wedding?
No,
Are you sure? Because I looked at you and gave you a date, told you were taking the time off, and that was it.
that was because we were pissed off with your family.
This is true.
Were you pregnant?
No.
Then it's not a shotgun wedding.
Well, I don't know if
I don't-
that's.
Yeah, I don't know. When you walk in the house, look at him and say, "Oh yeah, we're getting married on September 25th," and I've already sent out the invitations. Kind of counts.
Oh, hey, by the way, I've already sent these out.
God damn, woman.
We got married on April 1st, and I have a friend.
Just kidding.
Oh, it's a joke. It's a joke.
This
You're
whole
not
wedding's a
married.
sham.
Yeah. I have a friend. I just visited her this weekend. Jen Stang, if you're out there, miss you, kiddo. Awesome seeing you every time. She's just like, yeah, you actually did get married, right? So like, yeah, it was 5 years ago. Okay, just double checking that it wasn't a joke. I have family members that still like, no, he didn't really get married. No. But we did it the Pastafarian way, dressed as pirates in front of a pirate ship. So,
Obviously.
you know, the
What
only
do you call that?
Pastafarianism.
Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. We've had this conversation.
Okay.
The what?
It's
Church
the
of the
made up
Flying
shit.
It's as real as any other religion.
So it's the Church of Cthulhu. Gotcha.
From your perspective,
No, it's as real as any other religion.
you can't say other religions aren't or
Or
are
not.
real. That's
Uh,
the whole point to religions.
I
Damn
can,
it.
Brad
I can
Downey.
say that my religion is as real as any other, though.
Gord
Do
Downie.
you get tax free?
Yes, you can. We're actually thinking about starting a church.
Good for you then, because I call bullshit on all that, all
What?
religion stuff and all that stuff. I hate that.
Back to the movie?
Why?
I still
I'm not succeeding.
this is what is that some sort of a way to loophole something?
No, it's a way to say, hey, we're a religion.
So it's-
That's the way.
That's what I mean. It's not a religion, but it's a way you can say to something.
Why isn't it a religion?
Why is it a religion? You're the one
What
making
makes
the
it a
claim, so
religion?
the burden of proof falls on you.
Well, got a following. It has.
That's a cult. A cult could be that too. So we're
Cult
already in a
Christianity.
divisive area.
Well,
Look.
there is very little difference between a cult and a religion. So,
I think most religions are cults.
Yeah.
I absolutely do believe
so.
that.
That
But
doesn't make it not. Even if it is a cult, doesn't make it not.
well,
a religion.
what do you believe in?
I believe in the flying spaghetti monster.
You believe in spaghetti?
Did
Yeah.
you make it up?
No.
Who
No.
made it up?
This is old.
Oh, whatever. Let's move on. I don't want to have this argument.
Gord Downie.
Okay, you and
Gord
what's
Downie.
his name?
uh,
Look, Gord Downie.
Hubbard. You and Hubbard get together and go have your.
it's no different than any other religion.
Yeah.
Time out.
That's the thing about it, right? That's the beauty of it.
Hey, Gord
I
Downie.
did. For the record, I didn't know who he was when I did this, and I still don't care. So I don't like the hip. So
the thing,
But you know who it is.
I didn't when I saw it.
Oh, I see.
I had no idea who that was. It's just a guy
Are we
at a
actually
hotel.
talking about Gord Downie now?
So the thing about
Kinda.
I know he's now.
the thing about Gord Downie here, he talks about having cancer, and this was long prior to his diagnosis. I looked
Yeah,
it up.
He was
He
diagnosed
died
in
9
16.
years later.
Yeah,
He was diagnosed in 16,
hmm
and he only lasted like 2 years after the diagnosis, I think. So
and I wanted to see whether or not he had a previous diagnosis, and no, he got one diagnosis of cancer, and he says, "Oh yeah, I had an ass load of cancer,
and I
but
kicked
then
his
I
ass.
then I kicked its ass."
Yeah.
And I guess thought that was such creepy, like coincidence.
Yeah.
That's what would eventually get him, right? No, I guess it's not that far fetched because
1 in like 6 people get it.
yeah, cancer gets most of us, right?
Yeah.
So we get a higher chance of getting cancer than his survival rate of cancer treatment, right? So
Yeah.
I always thought that was so I just thought that was so strange how that coincidence like that.
An unfortunate coincidence. Goose.
What do we?
I'm with the odds thing. I think it was it's odds that all these people are going to die from some form of cancer
Yeah.
rather than other versions. So
Well, there's 5 of us out here, so there might be a chance none of us die from cancer.
that's
If there's
plausible.
one more person.
There's no cancer in my family, so I don't have any hereditary value.
It'll be me.
Cancer runs in my family.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
stroke. My dad had a stroke.
I have heart disease. I have cancer.
Yeah, heart
I'm-
stroke,
I'm
but
fucked.
not cancer.
Diabetes.
Diabetes.
So,
No diabetes in my family, which is I'm oddly fighting that off.
there's like 5 different forms of cancer for my family.
Oh,
Hereditary.
I was like, no, there's a lot more. But I see what you said. Sorry.
Anyway,
Yeah. What do we
Giant pipe.
What do we think of his desire to see the world's largest?
That was cute.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think very much the same way as the Joshua Jackson character does. Like I'd love to do a quirky road trip kind of like he does. Like, I guess
Manitoba.
Yeah, he
You know,
goes.
strangely enough, when Mark and I were in BC last year, we actually stopped to see the world's largest paddle.
Ooh, I
See,
think I know where that is.
In
Remind
this
me where it
movie,
is.
I read this in the story, in the thing, that the world's largest hockey stick is not located in Saskatchewan, which is where it is in this movie. It's located in BC.
Really,
Yeah.
But things could have changed
I thought.
from the time of this to now too.
I
Maybe.
thought the world. I thought he was in Manitoba when he seen that.
Regardless, it's in BC.
Where does he see the Mighty Duck, or the Anaheim Duck?
That would be in Alberta, I think.
No, that was prior to Alberta.
Saskatchewan, I think.
It was Saskatchewan or Manitoba. I
It
can't
was
remember
like
which one.
it was like, which duck was he?
Oh,
Is he a famous hockey player? No, he's like the lowest level of hockey player you can be. Get paid and have a cup.
Except for he had a concussion in the second period in the Stanley Cup final
Yeah.
and didn't get to play at the end.
But Corey pointed out before the podcast that without Joshua Jackson, there might never have been a team in Anaheim. So the Anaheim Ducks might never have existed without the movie The Mighty Ducks.
I think they just would have named it something else.
think it
The
would've been
power
better
and
anyway?
mighty of that part of the world, they were going to go for something. Now that might be true, but
Well, San Jose already had a team. LA already had a team at that time,
Yeah.
right? And like 3 LA teams. Like that
Yeah.
seems like. Well, I guess San Jose's not in LA.
No, it's like 2
well,
hours
Anaheim
north.
is not LA either.
Anaheim's like a suburb.
It's in LA County, though.
Count well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Wetaskiwin's
Okay,
in.
so-
You know, I mean,
I thought it
we
was
could all sit there and talk counties.
Yeah.
That's different.
So he actually sees the Stanley Cup and whatever you guys were talking about in Manitoba.
Oh, okay.
That was Manitoba.
It was a prairie. I knew that. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, I-
One thing that I didn't like, and this is a side thing, and it's very similar to a lot of movies with cancer in it, except for like the really good ones. But even when like he had that coughing spell, and you thought like when he passed out and everything like that, he never looked worse for wear afterwards. Like especially when the part where he was throwing up, you think he would have looked more pale, more bags under his eyes, like more like black under the eyes, everything. He didn't. He looked normal throughout the entire movie, and it kind of bothered me.
I don't know if this movie had a huge budget for
Well,
special
fair,
effects.
fair,
Like,
but I mean, slap on some white face paint slightly. I don't
Well,
know. Like,
if you-
I think he should have been more sick looking.
like if you don't have a makeup artist for the show,
Yeah.
then that'd be hard to do, right?
Hmm. But like I said, if that's my biggest concern, really.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just think he didn't look sick, and for a cancer that was so aggressive as it is,
Mhm.
you think he would have looked more sick. But again, if that's my biggest complaint, I'll be okay. So
So I want to carry on through the
there's the
provinces
hockey
here.
stick.
Yeah, and that's in
Manitoba.
yeah.
And that's where the Stanley Cup is. So
Oh my God, the Stanley Cup scene! Like, who doesn't want to like randomly come across the Stanley Cup? Like, is there any more Canadian wish? You don't count, Laura. Every small town Canadian boy wants to just randomly come across the Stanley Cup in their dreams of one.
You know, not everybody in Canada is obsessed with hockey. I mean that, and it's just like I think it would be cool to come across that. It's not on my bucket list. It's not my. I've been dreaming about this forever. It's not like I don't give a shit. You know, and it'd be cool if I did.
Mhm.
But I mean, this. Yeah.
I've seen it. So
Did you kiss it?
they wouldn't let me.
They wouldn't let you kiss it.
Nope.
It could have cured your diabetes.
Yeah, maybe. Although I didn't have it at that point. But
No.
you've seen that picture with me and Andrew, right?
So that's why you have diabetes.
Yeah, you
is
guys are
'cause
with
you didn't
it.
kiss
Yeah,
it.
he's like this big. Yeah,
So that's why you have diabetes is because you didn't kiss it.
maybe. Actually, there's a fun story that remind me to tell my sister's boyfriend.
Tell your sister's boyfriend.
When we went to the last game where Edmonton beat Dallas in the playoffs this year, like for the final game, and we were at a bar, like just this little sports bar type thing in Edmonton, and he's got a replica Stanley Cup ring from the Oilers, right?
Mhm.
And he was making a joke with her. He's like, you need to kiss it for good luck, and she's like, I'm not kissing the ring. And I kissed the ring because it's the Stanley Cup ring. But she refused to do it. And they lost. So it's my sister's fault.
Oh!
So if you're listening to this, God damn it, Krista, you had one job.
Yeah, you should have kissed the ring. When you have the chance, you kiss the ring.
Uh,
Anyway.
You don't. I do think it's a very common, beloved thing. Like the Stanley Cup is held in a certain.
Oh, absolutely, it
Mythology.
is. The Stanley Cup is. Lord Stanley he was British, came over here, so he's got a better connection to us than the U.S. Canada holds by far the more populated for players than any other singular country by 10% or 10 times or whatever. I mean, I don't want to diminish the idea that what hockey means to Canada, but I'm also the nuanced guy. I don't like lumping people into grand general categories.
Did you know? I read this in the trivia about the movie. He kisses the 1967 Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh,
spot on the cup.
really?
Yep, that would what I would kiss.
Yeah.
Huh. Like I would kiss probably the '84 Oilers. So
Yeah. So, question: football is astronomically huger in the States and Canada. Obviously.
Yeah.
That's a given.
Even though Canada's is older, but yes.
Right. No, fair enough.
Yeah.
But it's still like, college football fills up 70,000 seats.
Yeah.
So bottom line is, yes, football is more popular in the States. Do you think the Stanley Cup is a more beloved trophy in all of sports, or the Lombardi Trophy?
Oh, Lombardi would be way more.
Do you think
And
so?
because of the population of the United States.
But at the same time, like the Lombardi Trophy, people just see it as like a football on a pedestal type thing, right? And I think the Stanley Cup is more.
Oh, are you asking what's more recognizable?
Yes.
Oh, recognizable. I think the Stanley Cup has a more recognizable silhouette. Oh, maybe I don't know. I don't know. I think the U.S., because of its population and its attitude, that they will gravitate to that. But
like the sport, again, given it's football, 100%, the sport of football is more popular than the sport of hockey on the whole because, like I said, population.
Yes, just like preparation age. Okay.
But yeah. Anyway, yeah, I just always wondered that. Like, what?
I feel like the history, like the pennant's got a history to it, and the Stanley Cup's got a history to it. But I feel like the Lombardi Trophy and what's the NBA trophy's name?
The NBA championship. That's literally all it's called.
I feel like those two trophies don't have like the kind of mythological status that those two trophies hold, right? And I think NBA is actually starting to get there because of like.
I mean, I guess that's just a
I
basketball
can't stand the NBA. It's like they're showing a scene the other day, and who's that big guy that's the number one player now? LeBron James.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they counted he took 8 steps to dunk it.
Yeah.
And it was a legal dunk. So it's just like I can't condone a sport that does that changes for that purpose.
It's funny though when you think about the NBA trophy and the Lombardi Trophy, because it's literally the ball on a pedestal. That's all it is. The pennant in baseball, because that's what it's called, is literally a ring of pennants on a trophy type thing. Like, not real pennants, it's all metal. And then, like I said, whereas the Stanley Cup is
a
cup with a base.
Well, it was only a little cup.
It started as a cup, added a base or a neck with a base, added another neck with a base, and then it started adding.
It was literally a cup from England.
Yeah, brought over by
Literally
Lord
a cup.
Stanley.
Yeah. I actually did a report in university about the Stanley Cup.
Really?
So
it was like a popular style of cup way back in the day, right? Was it Wales or Ireland?
I don't remember that part, but I remember that they played on a pond in front of Parliament to compete for it the first time.
Really?
Isn't that kind of what the Heritage Cup was originally founded upon? Something along that line?
Probably,
Something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Not the Heritage Cup, but the Heritage Game or whatever that was.
We know what you were talking about.
Yeah, you know.
So how do we feel about when he makes it to Saskatchewan?
Which part, like when he collapses?
When he collapses and everything. No, when the bike breaks down in
For the farm chick.
Yeah. That's the one I'm talking about.
Oh, that's what it is, because he finds her dog on the side of the road, and then she calls her because her number was on the tag, and that's how he meets her.
That reminds me a lot of Back Home, like not the old lady by herself necessarily, but like, she'd come pick you up and come fix your bike and everything like that. And I know people that would legitimately in that situation do exactly what she did, right? Like it kind of warms my heart, the rural community and their willingness to help out strangers.
I'm
and
just saying,
everything.
Saskatchewan's amazing.
Well, let's not get too carried away. Laura, you probably don't know that kind of culture so much, eh? Because that's
What
not where
culture?
you grew up, right? So,
No, I grew up in the city.
yeah. So,
Urban. But did you have that element of people, that there was a certain element of people that would be going out of their way to help other people?
Yeah,
Like
my
they-
dad, because he was the one who worked for the tire shop, so it was like, Dad, fix this shit.
No, but within the community, would
No.
he go out of his way or
No,
whatever?
because I grew up in southeast Calgary, so I grew up in Dover and Forest Lawn. Every second house was a crack house. You didn't talk to your neighbors.
I mean, it's a different world in the cities.
I feel like I feel bad that that's how some people grow up because, like, it was very cliquey and it was a hard life if you weren't one of them where I grew up. But also, there was a huge sense of caring and everybody knew everybody, right?
I mean, in some areas, like when we grew up in the Deer Run area, that was different because like the neighborhood kids hung out together. And so we knew the parents and everything, but by the time I was 8, 9, we'd moved up into Dover and everything changed.
Dover is still a questionable area.
So there's always
Yeah.
there's always that other side of the fence type thing, right? The things that you had access to, or not necessarily even you, but somebody who was more urban
Mhm.
had far more access to stuff that the rurals didn't have.
Mhm.
And so that there was a lot more a lot of a different educational system. There was people in the cities grew up with a very different sort of smarts compared to that rural.
We became very book and street smart. You needed to be street smart.
Okay, somebody tell me what smarts mean because I don't understand what that actually means.
So if I ever ran away from home when I was a kid, I could survive without getting killed.
It's
If
being
I ever
able.
ran away from home, I could also survive without getting
Well,
killed.
Not in
though.
the city.
Street smarts to me was ability to read other people, to read situations well, to move within uncomfortable environments without being noticed, without being whatever, to take what random's thrown in your face, to roll with it, that sort of stuff.
You're very capable of blending in.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's that. I mean,
that is something that I would definitely say as a rural person. It's hard to fucking
See-
blend in.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to say this honestly. In Calgary, you would blend in perfectly.
Yeah.
Just the way you dress. Okay, not so much in Dover and Forest Lawn, but you know.
Yeah, I feel like I would
He
dress.
needs chains and he needs earrings and he needs.
so I've known a lot of rural
the
people that
cargo
were
pants
like
you could
that.
get away with.
You had the
Like,
tight knit
roller.
communities, and you all lived 8 miles apart, and whatever, and you knew you could count on your neighbor to throw the combine over to help you out because yours is, and there was all that sort of community aspect.
Yeah.
But then then we look at, it's not a whole lot different than the gang mentality. We're going to group together our group of people and look after ourselves.
Mhm.
It's very darker.
Except for the group of people where I come from is more likely to pull a gun and shoot you.
Well, yeah, and
There are
so
cliques in every
where
society.
in the rural, it's about you break noses, fight it out, and it's most typically done. But I mean, yeah. So
Yeah, I'm from the hit first, ask questions second generation down in Calgary. So
Well, it was very much like that where I grew up too. But the fights were differently. Like
They were
Mike
bar
said,
fights.
yeah,
Right.
you'd fight and then you'd be like, okay,
you're there at 3:00 after school or whatever it was, and you do what needs to be done, and it's done with. So,
right,
and I'm going to throw in a third option there, military,
right.
which is another whole faction to all this.
Yeah. Military brats are definitely their own society.
It is very different, and
Yeah.
it's you go from base to base to base to base to all your life. You never get to grow up with somebody. You never knew anybody for more than a couple years. So that's a whole new world. So
It's
dynamic to it, and then you're not rich and you're not poor. So and you're always right in the middle of the of middle and lower class.
Right, and as much as I bitch about my mom moving me to Mornville and everything, that was probably one of the best decisions she ever made.
Yeah.
Now, you take a girl out of the city and it's hard, but you do learn that whole different dynamic. Now, we were shit disturbers. Holy hell, were we shit
I believe
disturbers?
Okay, sorry.
like we're the ones who, dressed up the statue of Jesus to look like Ronald McDonald. But,
That's pretty awesome.
So I'm just going to point out she just met her extra large dude. Now we already confirmed earlier on that Joshua Jackson is almost 6'3". He's 6'2" plus. And this guy she just met and said, "Ooh," is probably the same diameter as Joshua Jackson and maybe a few inches taller. So I just, I would argue the fact that
he's thicker.
he's in drum.
not he does not have anything like that.
Not that
He is a
kinda thick.
svelte tall man.
He's got a bigger shoulder set than Joshua Jackson.
Hard to say with his coat. He wasn't all that big. He looked more like a basketball player than a football player.
So, sorry, the one other thing that bothered me in this movie, and again, the one other thing.
Another thing.
Yeah.
Is it because he took off of Highway 1 and made it to Drumheller somehow?
Yeah. He made this song. He's sticking to the Trans-Canada. Because there were so many things he missed for World's Largest. He talks about doing World's Largest, but he sticks to Highway 1. So he misses so many, and I forgive that. But then he stops in Drumheller, which is nowhere fucking near Highway 1.
You gotta make the trip to Drumheller if you're gonna come out to Alberta.
Wait a minute here. Drumheller, it's not like it's a 4-hour trek off.
No, but it's
one
probably
to get there.
2.5.
That's probably closer to
no,
one.
no,
actually.
I don't think it's that far.
I think closer.
I mean, how far is Drumheller from Calgary?
I think it's
only
from Calgary.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's what?
We did that field trip in grade 6. It's an hour and a half.
Hour and a half, and
a lot
Highway
of-
1
and a lot of
goes
that's east.
further west, right?
No,
No, you
Or-
go east of Calgary.
east.
If
If we're going west, we're going to the mountains.
Trans-Canada is east-west, though.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So and Drumheller is northwest
Highway
of
9.
Calgary.
Yeah.
Right?
Northeast.
Northeast.
Or northeast of Calgary.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the Trans-Canada still travels east and west.
Yes.
Yes.
So at that point where you have Calgary here and Drumheller is there, that Trans-Canada is going along the line somewhere, so it's got to be closer than an hour and a half at some point.
I bet
when
you
you're
he went
outside of
45
Calgary.
minutes to an hour out of his way.
Easily.
And,
Like one way out of his way, right? But
yeah.
Oh, this
Still.
is where he wipes out all
Yeah,
the
he
skunk.
eats shit.
Oh,
on the
yes.
skunk there.
The magical goggles that didn't break, but they're disappeared completely from his head, not around his neck, not on his helmet. They're completely gone.
that's because they wanted the shot of him blinking and looking up into the sky.
Yeah.
I don't know. It still bothered me about the Drumheller thing. Like,
Yeah.
they
No.
could have gone to
that's-
so many other cooler places.
See, and
Yeah.
it's because he went off the beaten path that he wiped out on a skunk.
Well, yeah. there's
And
probably-
that he was falling asleep at the wheel.
Okay, does this scene bug anybody where he does the dance? It is the most awkward dance ever.
The rain dance?
and I know
or
it's
the
a-
I'm Alive dance.
He says this is the hero's epic dance for that he's gonna, and then it acknowledged how awkward this is.
The guy drives by.
And he just freezes. Not like the guy hasn't been watching him for how long already.
So-
but
Boyer Salming got a credit in here.
I don't know who that is.
George Salming,
Boyer Salming? He was
the
a
hockey player for
hockey
Toronto,
player.
number 21.
mostly known for the Leafs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that was him.
Oh,
in the
driving
van.
by in the van.
Maybe.
Because I think there's some connection. Because I
Maybe.
couldn't remember where he was in. Why would he get a credit? He didn't even have a name. It was
No.
just Boyer Salming.
Well, that would
I
make
always thought it was
sense.
Borge because it's BJ.
Oh, yeah, maybe. It's one of those
G-E?
J things
Yeah.
with a dot and whatever.
It's Swedish either way. So
Who's the tennis player
then it's not pronounced
that
Borge,
has a similar?
I don't know.
No,
Anyway.
I'm saying if it's Swedish,
Anyway,
it's
I
not
just
pronounced
thought
Borge.
it just popped into my head because I thought maybe it's the minivan guy.
So, looks like we're out of time again, guys. We're going to have to take another small commercial break here. So, from Drumheller, we get the Banff, eh? And it seems like where did you say he was
Radium.
That
driving
was
through?
radium.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But, inaccuracies aside, it's still a beautiful movie despite those things, right, guys?
Like the hockey stick.
like the hockey stick. It's not actually in Manitoba.
Unless
Now-
they have a hockey stick in Manitoba.
Now, does Banff make him a piece of shit?
Why?
Oh, what he did?
Yeah, what he does in Banff.
Yes.
Yes. I don't care if you're dying or not. That's wrong.
You know-
what's your take on it, Mike? Because I see you've got a different.
Well, I'm trying to save my big picture opinion for the final thoughts. I don't want to get too much into this. But there's not a piece of shit. You're dying. The guy was clueless to who he was. He was trying to find himself on this journey. Now, if I look at this and I look at what he did, well, at least the commentary, the narration, when it came to the chick in Manitoba, I wish I had a cooler, a wine cooler, and whatever. I mean, the whole story of this guy is just, he's lost before this happened, and he's trying to find himself before he's gone. I'm guessing is my best assumption on this, and passion is a crazy thing. You can find it in weird places. Now, I don't think he was setting out there to go hump his way across Canada.
No.
I think he finds stuff that's sparking passions within him he never explored. Now, it's not a good thing that he did by no means, but I don't know if I'd go say piece of shit.
I can agree with that point, actually, because he definitely doesn't set out to maliciously cheat on his girlfriend. And, he does... Fiance, sorry.
Yeah.
And, he kind of makes it seem like, she's his choice by complacency, because that's what they should do, right? Like, he's not making the choice to marry her out of passion, like you say, right?
Yeah.
And this is where he's finding his passion.
That's just my interpretation. It's like he's settling at the beginning, and now he's trying to decide whether the
but she gave him the chance to walk away,
She did.
and he didn't
absolutely.
do it. So,
But he chose not to, he didn't want to break her heart, but he didn't realize this is what was going to happen either. Now, the right choice would have been to still not break her heart if that's where you're going to go, right? Like, it's still wrong to do what he did. But,
So, I mean, kind of
ahead.
the argument is if we do something wrong, are we to be condemned for it? He immediately confessed. He immediately knows what he did and whatever, so he was truthful about it. But it's just like, and it's so much easier to talk when you've been married for 32 years.
Mhm.
But
So-
the question on that one too, and this is coming from somebody who's been married for 20 years too, is would he have immediately confessed if she had shown up later that day like she was supposed to?
Well,
That's a good question. I mean, it is. I mean, there's one part of somebody might say that the right thing to do is to not tell her, because what if she never knows? She will never feel the pain in which he gave her. I don't think that's necessarily right too.
I was going to say, that sounds like a cheater's mentality. I'm not saying you. I'm saying
I
that
know
sounds
what
like
you're
a
saying.
cheater's mentality, though.
But I mean, if you think of it morally, I did something wrong. I've sworn in my heart I'd never do that again. By mentioning that, it causes somebody pain that I don't necessarily have to cause them. Now, you can pure of heart rationalize that way, and if it's true, they never find out, you live happily ever after, and it's no big deal.
I think telling her was the right choice. Be honest about it, right? And this is going to help her carry on with her life without him, if he so passes away, right? Which they're pretty ambiguous about.
Well, what's his rationale or reasoning to tell her? For his conscience or to release her?
Well, could be both.
Yeah, it could be. It's unknown. So
Mm-hmm.
I was confused. We're getting ready to push the end here soon, so I'm not going to final thoughts, but I'm saying I was confused that spoiler, they do end up not getting married and blah, blah, blah.
Well, you know what?
But yet, at the end of the scene, they're still lying beside each other and holding hands, but they're not together anymore.
and she has the ring on her finger still.
I thought that was very ambiguous because I was looking for a point where they explicitly said, because she says something, so I guess it's off, and they kind of casually talk about it. But I rewatched that scene 2 or 3 times to see if there was actually something where they say it's over, and they don't actually.
So you say maybe they rethought the marriage and wanted to continue to work on each other?
I don't think that the end scene conclusively said that they didn't actually not get married. Like, I don't think it was a conclusive answer to that question.
See, and I think in that point what it was is they just postponed.
Yeah. Well, who knows? There's a lot of unanswered questions at the end of this movie, which is okay. Like, I don't think this movie needed to answer all the questions, right?
Did he ever get treatment, do you think?
It's never answered.
No, that's said you think, though.
There's a whole discussion in itself. Like, you know,
Because he did his trip. He's done his trip now.
he has done his trip, and he said he was going to get treatment afterwards,
Yes.
right? That leads into a thought, like, what do we think? Like, I know, Mike, you were talking about it earlier about, like, I said, well, 90% is a pretty small survival rate. Well, yeah, but you got to look at the 10% and about fighting. So I'm going to gather from that conversation that if it was your boots, your situation, you would just fight to the end, whatever you could do.
Oh, tooth
right?
and nail. I mean, it's also you're standing on the edge of a cliff. You've got 100 semi trucks and buffaloes charging at you, and there's a tiny little island out there. You got a 10% chance of leaping over to that island and making it to safety. Those are pretty good odds, right?
Yes, I guess.
So
Depending how jagged the cliff is underneath it.
well, exactly. So I mean, it is perspective, and for me, yeah. I would.
Laura, where do you stand on this? Like, would you be more like him, or would you be more, no, I'm going straight into treatment?
I'd probably go straight into treatment, but that's more based on family history and everything that my family's gone through. So I would have given it the shot and tried first without doing this. I would have tried treatment and then given up afterwards.
Corey, I've seen the way you treat your body with certain ailments, so I know where you land on this.
I honestly, call it my mental state, call it everything. If I found out that I had, let's use the title of the movie, 1 week to live, I would just give up.
But they don't actually tell him that he...
No, it doesn't. I'm just saying I'm using the title of the movie just as a...
Yeah,
talking
the
point.
title of the movie is kind of odd because it's not about 1 week. The 1 week
Well, I think
is
the
like
trip
1
took
day, 1 week, 1
Yeah.
month, 1 year. That is the line.
Yeah.
There's nothing specific to the week other than
just work.
does he stop after 7 days?
Who knows?
I think it's a 1 week.
Because he plans to go for 2 days. Is there ever this conscious thing?
I think this is a 1 week. He takes to himself a 7 days. I do believe.
So the span of the movie
the
is
span of the
7
movie
days.
is 1 week.
Okay.
Like the road trips, yeah. But yeah, no, like I said, I'm not.
But what do you mean by give up, though? Like, would you be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go sit on my couch and watch movies for
Where's
my
my
next 7
bourbon
days?
or my whiskey?
Yeah, where's my bourbon and my
Yeah.
whiskey?
Yeah.
See,
100%.
I would myself. I'm not probably rushing off to treatment. I don't know. It's hard to say when you're not in that situation, right? Like,
And we're also
I
all
would-
seasoned human beings.
Mhm.
Take that for as you will. But we've lived a lot of a life. If this happened when you're 22, 25, that's a very different question.
Well, this is true.
Well, and even like Mike said too, we're all seasoned and everything too, but we all say, this is what I would do. But if that was actually ever questioned to us or told to us,
I
It might
didn't
not
think
be
I'd
that
make
way.
40. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
And here I am turning 45 next month. So,
God, you're old.
right? Anyway,
Like, not Michael, but you're old.
yeah, Mike's pretty old.
You're 45?
Turning, yeah,
Okay. When do you turn 45?
August 27th.
Shit. Oh, I thought
Judgment
we would be
Day.
inverted at one point. We're not.
29th, actually.
I will be 55 before you're 45. Because I'm 54
Right,
right
because
now.
you're 69, I'm 79, right?
So
So
your birthday must be coming up here, Mike.
August 19th.
August 19th, eh?
August 16th.
So we just need a
That
giant,
is what the
giant
lobster
birthday
thing
party
is
month.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I put myself as going. We'll see what work, but I'm 100% planning on going.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's cool.
Yeah, because August 6th.
yeah, we need to do a
19th?
month.
Yeah.
Like one
And then
day in the month of
27th, yeah.
August where we get one giant ass party.
Well, you graduated 10 years, you married 10 years, and you were born 10 years. Like different than like
Yeah,
your anniversary is actually
yeah, because yours is 92, right?
yes.
And mine's 2002.
Yes.
And that you graduated
And
in
you were born in
87?
79.
Yeah, you graduated in 87. I graduated in 97.
So, I mean, yeah, that's what I
Very
noticed.
Interesting.
I realized that when you said, "Oh, it's your anniversary," when we were passing the other day.
Yeah,
It's just like,
that was funny, by the way.
yeah.
Yeah, we were literally just turning
Yeah.
left to go to Red Deer. So
Yeah, that was Friday.
no, Sunday.
That was yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was
right.
yesterday.
Yeah, because I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked Sunday and then right from work went home, changed, left. So
Mike, you've been across this great country. Have you ever been to Tofino? That's where he ends the movie.
No, I've been to the island a few times, and I've been to Victoria,
Beautiful town. isn't it, Victoria?
Nanaimo,
Victoria's amazing.
Comox, around there, the Goose Spit. It is. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, the thing's built on mountains
Mhm.
and whatever, and everything filters down there. I mean, we talk about this too because, I've been to all these provinces. I've been across Canada as a living human being 7 times, although I was not conscious through several of them. I was just little, that big and whatever.
Mhm.
But I remember Manitoba. I've lived in Saskatchewan. I know BC very well. Ontario for Kingston, a lot of in there. We were in Montreal, the island, for a little bit. Technically, it's an island. The city.
I don't know if I knew that. I don't.
Yeah, it's
Montreal-
surrounded by water, but I think that there's a weird connection in there. But it's
like
it's almost an
cul-de-sac
island.
with a moat.
Well, yeah.
I thought it was like a peninsula, but I was.
It could be,
probably
and
wrong.
I mean, that's and that sort of thing. I lived in New
Wowzer.
Brunswick, and the Bay of Fundy still leaves me in awe to this day.
Bay of Fundy.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the highest tides on the planet,
Really?
80 feet.
That's
And you
wild.
walk out there and you stand under these giant flower pots, and it's just like, oh my God, if I'm not out of here in 4 hours, I'm going to be crushed by these waves and whatever.
Challenge accepted.
So it's an amazing country we live in. It's the pride should be there, but there's even more so these days. The divide is growing, and it's painful for me because I consider myself a Canadian first, and then a province, and then I when I say go back home, that could mean New Brunswick, that could be Rocky Mountain House, that could be Camrose. I consider them all home.
I find people that don't like Ontario and Quebec are people that have never been there. Like people,
Yeah.
I hate Quebec's so terrible.
It's the
like,
political mind.
Mark's
Yeah.
been to Ontario. He still doesn't like it.
Ontario.
I mean,
is
you know
like
what? If you've been to Ontario and you're sitting on Toronto, Yonge Street in Toronto, well, yeah, okay, I get that. But if you head north to the land of 1,000 lakes, and you look at the beauty of these lakes formed on the rock thing, shield, the Canadian Shield. There's some beautiful country in there that don't have mountains, but it's gorgeous.
That's all mountains.
What's that?
Through Ontario, that is all mountains. Is that? It's an
the-
older mountain range.
It's hard to call them mountains when you're from like Alberta mountains.
Well,
I
this
mean,
is true.
they're large hills.
They're rock formations,
Yeah.
darn it.
They are. I mean, that goes down south, turns into the Appalachians. I think.
Yeah.
I think is what it does. But
They're still hills.
it's beautiful, beautiful places.
I've spent not very long, a week or so in Ontario, and what I was always blown away was everybody I visited lived on a lake. Everybody. It's just like you live in a crappy little small town. You're on a lake. You live in Kingston, Ontario. You're on a lake.
Ontario.
Yeah. Well.
That's a big lake.
Yeah. You
It's a
live.
great one at that.
Yes,
Uh,
great big lake.
You go visit somebody that's way out in the country. They're on a lake. I was
That
flabbergasted
It-
how many
There's
Like,
millions of lakes there. Like I think they call it the land of 1,000 lakes. And I thought, and I'm not clear on that, but I know I got family that have cabins all over the place. They're little shitty shacks, but you know.
How mad would you be? We're not quite at the end of the movie here, but when the bike gets ran over, like I talked about, I'm gonna pronounce it wrong again. Kismet,
Close enough.
close enough. But like that was almost like the bike just popped into his life, and then his journey was done, and the bike was gone. Like that's what I took that as. And you know, you got to go back to reality. But man, that would make me so
If
angry.
you're going based on the way that he sees everything, like the bike came into his life, that meant take the journey. So the bike gets run over, it means it's time to go home.
Yeah, it's time for the journey.
I got to bring this. I was going to save it for later, but I got to bring this up. He's what, mid-20s in this, or is he 30?
Early 30s, I'd say.
Early
he's
30s?
described as a young
And he's a
man.
school teacher. He seems to have a lot of money to drop off to take this trip to where he's going.
And he just paid for a bike.
Paid $2,000 for a bike. I think that's what it was.
$7,000.
Well, so he's on, but it's
How much?
$7,000.
$7,000 for a bike. He can afford to stay at the Banff Hotel because when he was in Banff, that was the
Oh yeah, well he said that
But he-
presidential
he-
suite at the whatever. He said that.
at the
He said he's not saving for the future
Yeah.
anymore, though, right?
But I mean, how much money did he have saved?
as a teacher.
As a teacher,
As a teacher.
who makes like $40,000 a year.
Apparently, his parents came from money.
Yeah.
You know
So
what?
sorry, quickly, I got to interrupt. I apologize, Jeff. I
Okay.
do. I've been so good lately, but that German chick had an incredible rack.
There was
Anyway,
a German chick there?
you wanna
Oh,
take
at
the
the
picture?
end there.
I'm trying to remember when Corey hasn't brought up boobs.
I know, and I felt bad. Sorry, Jeff. Go on.
Yeah. Hey, you guys weren't there, but me and Corey just did American Pie, so like,
Oh
dude.
God, he had a whole other assortments other than boobs to talk about.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know if you two have listened to that yet, but there's
Like
a lot
this,
of boob talk in
this,
that one.
this one time at band camp.
Yeah. You know, let's say he's early 30s, I would have had the money to do what he did. Like,
Not me.
No, I wouldn't have either.
I would have pulled that right out of my savings.
I don't know anybody that would have. I guess I would have known a few people, but they were differently focused.
But the money he spent on the bike, and like if I knew that tomorrow's not coming, like at his age, I would have had that. Yeah,
I had
easily
3 times that money already in loans.
in loan. Yeah, see,
You're
I've never been a big loan guy.
not normal, Jeff. Nobody in this group has ever implied that you're a normal, average Canadian.
Turns out it makes him the better. But you know, it's beside the point.
And that is ambiguous as I can make that comment.
I'm not big on buying stuff through the bank, right? If I can avoid it, and I think that's a big problem. Like I'm not gonna get into the rant about it, but I think that's a big problem in today's society. Is that it doesn't matter how big it is. I'll just get the bank to finance it.
It started long before today's society.
Well, I know.
I mean, it was the Alberta trap, right? You turn 18, you can go work on the rigs, the pipeline. You can go do all sorts of these high-paying jobs. Oh, I can buy a nice vehicle, and then you're trapped, and then that's the world it goes to, right? Yeah.
It's the rig pigs that get broke first. That's always the funny thing.
But you always spend what you make. It seems like, right?
Or more.
Yeah.
That's what my brother-in-law claims. I don't know. Like he lives in Calgary. He has a couple homes. He swaps houses like underwear. He owned land, a cottage in Jarvis Bay. He's clearly a 7-figure family. And he still claims that, we live paycheck to paycheck and we still spend blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah. But I mean, you don't need to. I mean, it's like, do you really need an 8,000 square foot house for you and your wife?
No.
Do you need to drive a $100,000 Range Rover?
That's actually why I don't have a
You know, I mean, these are choices. Yeah, and it says yes, you're right to your statement, but it's just like I think there's a whole lot of other problems in society. Anyway, there's my thoughts on that.
So before we get wrapped up in the final thoughts, being Canada Day and all, I wanted to ask you guys, what is your go-to Canadian movie? 1 week, I've already stated, is probably my go-to Canadian movie. Mike, if you had
Strange Brew.
Strange Brew is yours.
Oh, you want me to think about it?
No, you don't have to think about it.
That's as Canadian a movie as I could possibly imagine.
That would probably be, if there was one that I would think off the top of my head to contest this one for most Canadian, it probably would be Strange Brew.
That's awesome.
But I'm not. It doesn't hold the place in my heart for nostalgia like it probably does for you. Like I watched it older, and I'm just like,
My nostalgia is in a garbage can somewhere. I thought we discussed that already. I don't have nostalgia anymore.
Well, we watched Kikorsian Brothers with you. I don't know if that's
That was a bad memory. That was a memory. I thought it was good 8 years.
That's still the only thing I get.
And it
from
probably
that.
was when I was
Still
12.
the only thing that I get from that movie is the fact that the sheriff is wearing nipple clamps. Sorry.
I've never watched a Cheech and Chong movie in my life.
Yeah.
Like any of them.
Well, the
Yeah.
one that Mike picked was not a stoner movie.
I remember.
Well, we argued any of them really stoner movies.
Up in Smoke.
Well, no. I'm talking any of the movies that we chose throughout that.
Grandma's Boy?
Hey, Grandma's Boy was a stoner's comedy.
It was that. I think that was the closest to it, but still, it's arguable.
It's a stretch of an
So-
argument, but it's arguable.
So,
all I
just
said.
for a point for Dazed and Confused, the end of the movie where they're climbing, or not the end of the movie, where they're climbing into the vehicle with Matthew McConaughey and he's like, watch the leather man. He was actually stoned at that point.
Well, of course it
Just
was.
bringing that up.
So, Laura, I asked Mike first.
I actually don't have one.
You don't have a Canadian movie you could point to as your, and it doesn't even have to be the most Canadian, but like, if you're just like, this is my Canadian movie.
I don't think I do either. I'm not going to lie.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked.
To be honest, there's a lot of movies that I liked because they had a Canadian aspect
No,
to
we're
it.
going Canadian actor.
Well, that's way
That's
too
way
that's way
right?
different.
But yeah, a movie, no.
See, that you know what's ironic about that? You two are probably the reasons why there's as many small time Canadian movies that I like. It's probably because of you guys, because it's through the video store. That's how this was a video store find. This was like
Oh, yeah, that's how I watched it, yeah.
yeah. Like I would have never in a million years watched this movie.
No, I was hunting this one just because of Joshua Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like he's from Dawson Creek, he's from Mighty Ducks.
Mhm.
He had this I'm going nowhere career, and then this came out. Oh, what's this about? And you know,
I feel like his acting's not even that great in this movie, and I say that as a person who loves this movie.
He's very downplayed in this movie.
He's very wooden, and I don't know if that's supposed to be on purpose or not, but like there seems like there's a lot of lack of emotion in a very emotional movie.
Right? But, for playing somebody who's given up, that makes actually a lot of sense. Like, that there's no emotion there.
I guess.
So it's established that Corey and I really don't have a Canadian movie. What about you, Jeff?
I've already
Just
no,
established
that's this one.
This one?
He made it clear.
If I had to pick another one, does Goon count as a Canadian movie?
Which
What?
No.
Goon, yeah.
No.
It's Canadian directed. I don't know if Sean William Scott's Canadian
He's
or not,
not.
but the rest of the cast is pretty Canadian.
I don't know,
Right.
Shriver, or is he just two? Or
Was
is
it
he in
actually
both?
filmed in Canada?
He was in both. I think it
we have
was
Shriver
filmed.
as European.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what
Oh, okay.
nationality he's from. So
The Jay Burchell factor is why I kind of consider that, but
the Hansons were Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah?
One of them played for the WHA Oilers.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
Slapshot, by the way.
yeah, I'm aware.
Thanks, Mike.
It's for the fans. I mean,
The Don Cherry story is a pretty good Canadian movie in
They
my.
made a Don Cherry movie.
Oh yeah, they made
well, there's a few of them.
Yeah.
Uh,
the guy from Letterkenny stars as Don Cherry. Fucking love it.
The
Love it.
last, and like minus this one, even for me, like the last Canadian movie I suppose that we watched wasn't even a movie; it was a documentary.
Oh, which documentary?
It's called Oh Canada. It's based off of a band. I can't remember the
Scratch the
band.
hip.
No,
Trooper.
no.
P.S. While you're looking, Wasn't it a crime that this movie had Gord Downey? It took place in Canada, and there is not one Tragically Hip song on the soundtrack.
Oh, I thought there was one.
No, they had Sam Roberts. They had someone else that I totally lost my mind on now.
I know Fifi Dobson's on there somewhere.
But yeah, they did not have Tragically Hip.
That's probably a money thing.
But Gord Downey was in it. He could have donated the song.
You could have.
and arguably, you could probably argue that the song they picked from Sam Roberts is probably a more expensive song at the time when they made this than almost anything Tragically Hip had.
Is Tragically Hip have a song that fits? I don't know.
Running, although that might have been after this. It's a long time running, but that would have probably been after this.
Oh no, it'd be close.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Wheat Kings would have fit really good in this.
Yeah, that was later on too.
And I feel like Ahead by a Century could have really fit into this too.
What does that song mean? I remember that's one of the few songs I can remember of them. Like I'm not a fan of them at all.
But Ahead by a Century is just a really sentimental.
About what?
He's just looking back at a life and his
Oh,
life.
that might have worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask musically as well, but we're running close on our time, so I think I'm going to save that for after the commercial break.
Oh, we're having another commercial break.
We're going to have another commercial break.
Sweet.
I've got a Canadian question to ask you guys after the commercial break, and then we're going to get into final thoughts. Okay, guys?
Sounds good.
So now that we're back, guys, I wanted to ask the RLO Quartet on Canada Day what your top or favorite Canadian artist is. I'll start with you, Corey.
Is it artist or band?
Artist.
Either or.
Either or.
Okay.
So you could say, like, for example, I'll do mine. Alanis Morissette.
Do you guys remember 5 seconds ago when I was explaining and me and Corey were explaining it? Because obviously Laura doesn't.
Yeah. So Alanis Morissette for me, because when you buy Alanis Morissette, you don't buy the Alanis Morissette band. You buy Alanis. So Alanis Morissette is one of mine. Tragically Hip, absolutely. And I'm a really big fan of the Tea Party, actually.
Tea Party's underrated.
And I've hung out with them before too. So
people sometimes forget how good the Tea Party was and that they're Canadian.
Yeah.
Right?
Like I said, I hung out with them after a show once, and they were pretty cool guys.
I've heard they're Jeff and Jeff. They got to be cool, right?
Jeff Martin and Jeff Burrows, and Stuart Chatwood, and that was it.
Laura, do you have a top 3 musical artists? It could be band, it could be single acts.
Tragically Hip, Simple Plan, and Nickelback.
Simple Plan is Canadian.
Eh?
Yep.
I'd do anything. They totally seemed American to me, like that.
That does seem like a very American song.
They are Canadian.
I am glad that. Are we done with hating on Nickelback, guys?
I never hated on them. I don't know.
That was bad. One person decided they hated Nickelback, so everybody had to
Actually,
follow.
watch the Netflix series on it. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
It is
What
fantastic.
is it called?
Love to Hate Nickelback.
Really? I don't know if I've heard of that.
It just
before.
came out. It's
Yeah.
it's new
Actually, I think
arrival.
it's called Hate to Love because it's ironic.
But you know,
So-
quite honestly,
Because nobody else is sorry.
but quite honestly, I signed up to go to Craven for Nickelback.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I've
we're
seen
going to
them
have
twice,
to talk
so-
about. I might want to ride with you. My truck's slightly out of commission right now, so
It's just a
if you
Ford.
ride with me, that gives us 2 drivers because it's an 8-hour drive.
I'm not going to tell you the reason why my truck's out of commission on air, but you know, I'll disclose
You'll find them
after,
eventually.
and you guys can hear my grievances. Okay. Mike, you said this was an easy question for you. What is your top 3?
Stompin'
Canadian
Tom,
artists?
Gordon Lightfoot, and Nickelback. Nickelback is
What-
my
what was
favorite.
your first one?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I was talking over you.
Stompin' Tom.
Stompin' Tom, Gordon
Really?
Lightfoot, and
Very
Nickelback.
folksy.
Yeah, that's what I've been around a bit longer than a lot of people. So, Stompin' Tom, he sang about the bright red spuds on the island. And he talked about the hockey games. He talked about
only
every
know the
part of
hockey song.
the country. And it was just his patriotism with it for it. Gordon Lightfoot told amazing, beautiful stories.
Could you read his mind?
I wish I could.
His thoughts would tell.
Yeah, and that sort of thing. And Nickelback is just you know, as weird as it is, they had an energy to their band, and it's nice to see a small town nobody make it up. And partly because I watched that movie, some of the stuff they did and some of the stuff they went through, it's pretty amazing what they've gone through and what they've done. And it's just, yeah.
Energy's a good choice of words. I think that's a very good choice of words.
Yeah.
I grew up not that far from Hanna, Alberta, and like it blows me away that somebody from Hanna is as successful as them. Like our big claim to fame was Darcy Tucker, and like Nickelback is like
Darcy Tucker?
Yeah, Darcy Tucker.
He's from
Indiana, Alberta. He gave me a wedding present, actually.
Oh, wow.
That's
Wow.
how tight knit the group is.
Yeah, there's your connection to the Leafs.
Well, yeah, I like the Leafs in the '90s. I guess, yeah, not so much anymore. Stompin' Tom, I seen him in concert, and it was towards his later days. Man, that guy, they'd bring out a piece of wood.
Plywood?
And by the end of it, he had a freaking hole.
Oh, yeah.
He would just wear a hole. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I love Stompin' Tom.
Yeah.
He's probably not on my top 3, but he's like, you think of Canadian artists, you think it's Stompin' Tom. Like,
Yeah. I mean, you could go with Ian Tyson. I could go with Ian Tyson too.
So on my top 3, Ian Tyson.
Yeah.
I got to go with Corb Lund.
Yeah, he's good. I like him too.
Yeah. I struggle with my 3 because there's 2 right there. I'm gonna give. You don't know who Ian Tyson or Corb Lund is?
I've heard their names, but
she doesn't like country. If you're not a country follower, you won't know either one of them.
I'm gonna be the one walking around these concerts minus Nickelback with the earbuds in.
Oh, see, Corb Lund is so alternative country.
Yeah, he's totally. But
does he have that country twang?
No,
he can.
He's got an Alberta twang to him.
That's enough.
Yeah.
he can have that. He's what are they? You just blame me of it too. You accuse me of these. He's Alberta folk.
Yeah, he's an Alberta.
Is what he is.
But
He'd be an Alberta folk.
Ian Tyson's an Alberta folk country singer, right?
Yeah. He's the son of a veterinarian, so they do cattle and that. So. Oh man, I could do George Canyon on my list. He's number 4. George Canyon's my number 4.
Hey,
what?
George Canyon's Canadian?
Like
Nova Scotia.
Huh. No, George. I thought George Canyon was.
No, he is Nova Scotian. He's a blue noser that lives in Calgary now.
You guys are really good at letting me get my top 3. Eh?
Okay, so what's your third one?
I am going to give an honorable mention to the Headstones.
Nice.
I couldn't quite put them on my top 3, so they're steady. When you said Gordon Lightfoot, I instantly thought of the Headstones because they did a remake of the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which I guess I love that. Tweeter and the Monkey Man it's like forever my favorite Bob Dylan.
I want to see that movie.
There's a movie
no,
called Tweeter and the Monkey
but I'm saying I want them to make that into a movie, and I want to watch it.
But I didn't want to say this because it already been said 3 times, but I got to go with the Hip. I got to go with the Hip on my top 3. It was a dog fight between those 2.
I can't stand the Hip. Sorry.
For what it's worth, there's no more new music.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? The rest of them aren't carrying on? Like Trooper?
See, I feel like with your love of storytelling that if you had the chance, if you so chose to do a deep dive in the Tip, you would find stuff that you would
I don't like their sound. It's their sound.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
See, I feel like Fiddler's Green you would enjoy. But,
I've heard a bunch of their stuff. The 100th Meridian and whatever that is.
That's not...
I've been trying to play that for my neighbor. It is so... I mean, he's got this yodel twang in the middle of a song that I don't like. There's a weird beat pattern in my head, so... it's just not my thing.
Gord Downey's a eccentric vocalist,
oh yeah,
right?
very. Which is one of the reasons why I didn't recognize him in the movie.
I think that's one of the reasons why he's so beloved is that though, right?
Well, that whole nautical disaster soliloquy there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he's to me from everybody I know, he's that hit and miss. You either love him or you hate him.
Oh, that's true. My wife hates him too.
Yeah.
So
and I can see.
It's not like I don't hate him. I just don't like the music.
What you mean,
I used to be a very anti-tragically hip, and then I guess I fell into the rabbit hole, right? And I guess found some stuff beloved. But so Corey, Where are we going to put 1 week in the video store?
Drama. There's not a single ounce of comedy in this movie.
Laura.
Oh, come on.
Drama.
That dance was pretty hilarious.
That dance was, and that awkward stop.
Yeah.
No, it's 100% a drama.
Yeah, I'd have to. I'm just trying to think. 1 week. What was the week it took place in? Obviously not the winter, so it can't be Christmas.
Fall.
Fall.
I think it was fall.
It was summer vacation because he was no longer in school. He was a school teacher. This was during summer vacation.
Yeah.
So this would
So
have, and I think the classroom had
Plus,
just ended.
if he was in BC
actually,
and it was winter, you'd either be really wet or you'd have gone through some snow.
So
if
there's-
I'd gone through the section that I think it would really belong into,
Canadian.
it would be an artsy. The artsy section, but I don't think you'll allow that, so
Do we
it would
have
fall
an
into
artsy
drama.
section?
we don't have an artsy.
And there's a reason for that. I'll
If we're
explain
not
it in my
allowed to
final
have the
thoughts. but-
sections that I keep saying, you're not allowed to have artsy.
Well, you have them anyway. We say you're not allowed something, you take it anyway. So you know what?
It's gonna go in.
Where I
Staff
damn well
picks.
say
Staff
it.
picks.
Where I damn well say it's going.
So you're saying drama is your final answer?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's there's nowhere near enough comedy in there.
I gotta agree with the consensus on this one. It's just there's no way you don't just put in drama, right? Like it was a tear.
It's almost odd that there's an actual question on that.
Yeah, it's one of the rare consensus ones, though, right? Like there's not.
Jeff found it to be a horror movie.
There's not room for argument on it, right?
Well, the idea of having that form of erratic cancer is quite horrific. So. But that would make it a dinosaur movie, and that's no good.
Okay, but having that kind of horrific cancer still makes it a tragedy, which makes it a drama. And Jeff is still wrong. Jurassic Park is not a horror movie.
All right.
Listen, there.
No.
Why are we talking about this?
So I guess that since that brief interlude that this is definitely a drama, leads us to our final thoughts. Corey, I'd like to see you talk about your final thoughts on this fine, wonderful Canada Day evening.
What's interesting is, again, 100% drama. I didn't find it to be a tearjerker drama, even though like a lot of movies that involve cancer in it will generally get to me. It just, I think it's the makeup. I think it's whatever. He didn't seem sick to me, and that took me away from the character. Like we said, the acting was wooden, but it could have been intentionally so. There were some landmark discrepancies, but the heart of the movie was there, and it was a very good movie for heart. It was a very heartfelt movie. I enjoyed it. It's a solid 4 out of 5.
Laura, what about your final thoughts on this?
So I'm in the same boat as Corey. Generally, I don't know about him, but generally for me, movies that are this slow, they tend to put me to sleep, which this one did.
Yeah.
So I had to watch it a second time. But like I said, when we were off air, it wasn't the movie itself; it was the narrator that put me to sleep. So, and the movie doesn't center around the fact that he has cancer, which would have made it very hard for me to watch. Overall, I'm only going to give it probably a 3.5 out of 5. It's just not high up there on my list to watch. Not saying that I wouldn't watch it again. It's just not high up there.
Now,
The moment we've all been waiting for.
yes, I know, Mike, you've got a lot to say about this movie.
I don't know if I want to say a lot. I've been trying to be a nice guy tonight.
Well, you can be as
well, I
mean or
just-
polite as you'd like to be, Mike.
This is my perspective on this film. I was
A
very
real-life
attentive.
opinion, one would say.
What's that?
A real-life opinion, one would say.
Well, yes. I was very attentive in this movie because I was trying to find something of real value of the objective nature of this film. Okay. The only thing this film had going for it was pictures of incorrect provinces in beautiful placement. The fact that the story, the idea of the story would have been good, but there was so it's arguably the worst movie I've seen with us. The acting, I don't think there was any chemistry. Don't think the acting was there. I don't think Joshua is an actor. His best days were the Mighty Ducks. The continuity was weird. The this artsy flip back to whatever didn't have a lot of flow to it. It was just a jarring shock, bang, gun to the head, and then right back at it. There was, like you say, there was no sense of stakes in him. He was where was the cancer? Apparently it's this kind where it only shows up at the very end and whatever. The ambiguous nature of the ending I didn't like. I mean, it was too ambiguous. Whether they got married or not, I don't know. The narrator, maybe I do have a lot to say. So the narrator was so disconnected to the character. What was the point of that? I didn't understand that. I mean, like you say, it was so wooden, and it's just like you're trying to bring us in and evoke us. Where's the emotion in that? What's to draw me in? I do respect the idea that people can connect with this through the idea of the story, and sometimes that's all a movie or a thing needs. There's a lot of movies out there that can connect to people because of the idea of what they're talking about. So, and I don't take away from anybody that has an emotional connection because they have loved ones, they have whatever. I didn't know was he there because of immortality reasons, fidelity reasons? I mean, I talked about how he was lost. He was so bloody lost. I would love to have seen his life if he didn't get cancer. Where would he be in 50 years?
Sounds pretty boring.
It was
Actually,
pretty
it looked like he was-
confusing as why was he going on that? Like, because of the cancer? But what was he searching for? Now, I made the presumption that he was lost before the cancer. And I presume he was heading out to find himself. But that was never a clear whatever. And then he wanted I would do the one, and then he did the other one. And I just felt it wasn't clear in what it wanted to be and the flick. So I don't want to rehash all the same things over and over again. I thought it was a really bad movie that had some heart to it. So, I assume it was made by a high school graduate, so I'll give it the bike was cool. I don't want to super trash on it in that sense, because I think there was effort and there was the idea that they wanted it to be, and I bet you Joshua had a bit of production heart behind it. So I'll give it a 3 out of 10 for an objective nature that I think it was just poorly done. It was just a bad film. Subjectively, I got a little more out of it than that. Because I could understand, although I could not connect to these characters, I did not believe they were trying to send the message they were telling me. The acting was, you look at the scenes and so I accept that some people could make something out of it. So I'll give it another point for that. So 4 out of 10 for subjective. So
I'm surprised you didn't point out when he's looking for the grumps in this movie.
Oh,
That
fuck.
was-
I could go on all night long about the problems I thought with this. What the hell was the grumps about? Like this.
That was supposed to be a stand-in for him finding himself, right?
Yeah. So anyway.
And it was poorly executed.
The grumps is like finding a leprechaun. If you find a leprechaun, you get to make a wish. It was the same with the grumps.
Yeah.
He's like the Loch Ness monster or Bigfoot for him.
Yeah.
I can stand behind a lot of the. I'll get into my final thoughts here. Yeah, there's a lot of production issues with this movie. Continuity errors were pointed out several times. The acting wasn't that great. I love a small, simple story, though. Like, sometimes the stakes just don't need to be that high. And this was just a simple story about a man trying to find himself, right? And, I can find heart in a small movie like that, too. Something that is like a more grounded connection to a simple person than, like, we watch these big, huge, budgeted movies where Superman's punching somebody in the middle of space in a rainstorm and knocking down a thing.
So
Does it
rainstorm
rain in space?
Well,
You moron.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm just kidding.
And you don't have a connection. Now, this was clearly a movie that was made by somebody that was just a simple artist with zero budget on hand. Like I bet you this movie was made for $500,000, if that, right? And it only came in
Cost the gas.
yeah,
for the bike.
the cost of the gas and Joshua Jackson's wage.
Star power. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been those would be the major costs of this movie, right? Like, if it came over $1 million for cost production, I have a very hard time seeing it. And a movie like that can really endure to me because I can appreciate the artistic capabilities that go into it, right? But, like Mike pointed out, a lot of the production issues were there. A lot of it because it was a simple story, though. But they are too glaring to ignore. For me, I still adore this story. I guess adore the simple man goes across most of Canada to try to find himself. It doesn't need to be a high drama stakes. Like, it's much more realistic what happened, right? And these high drama movies that touch your strings. We did the Green Book not that long ago. And there was some sensationalized drama that was in there, right? And a lot higher tension and a lot better, well done tension, right? But that makes it more sensationalized and less realistic than something like this as well, right? Like, this is a believable journey that somebody could have gone through. So for me personally, I can't give it a Last Crusade because of the production value, but because of the heart of the story, I have to give it a Raiders of the Lost Ark.
So
Sorry, really quickly. I'm dropping my thing actually to, what's it called? 3.
A 3, eh?
3.
Wow.
I do have to, and it's a valid question with this one too. With all the places that he visits, it makes you wonder how much tourism those small towns that they actually showed the names of actually ended up getting visited.
There wasn't too many town names in it, though.
I don't
That's
think
why I'm
this
saying the
movie
ones they
did
actually
well
showed.
enough to really see that much of
No,
a
I
plot.
don't think so. I
But
mean,
there's the odd, like, artsy hipster type that be like,
what made it to
it's
some
like Into the
festivals.
Wild, right? People
Yeah.
wanted to go find that bus, and people were dying because of it, so they had to find and move that bus.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
that's stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I
But-
don't think anybody's gonna die looking for the Terry Fox statue after
Yeah.
this movie, though.
No, I
Or the
realized
giant
that
lawn
the like I said, I was not connected. I didn't feel the emotion that I should have felt, and I didn't feel that they portrayed the emotion that we needed to feel. Again, heart was there, and that's why I definitely still give it a 3. But I think back to the movies I've given 4, and this movie's not that good.
Well,
So-
the production value is very lacking in it. It's a very glaring bad production.
I was so scared for the last 3 days because of that. I didn't want to come here and shit on a movie that apparently you felt so passionate about. But I mean, there was like very little value I could find in it, and I actually appreciate what you found in it. I do, and I appreciate the idea of the a person's journey, and I wanted to be on that journey. He just didn't pull me in. I didn't ever felt like there was a reason for me to go on that journey with him.
See, and that's part of why it only got the 3.5 for me, is because it's not clear what he's feeling while he's doing this journey. It's just
See, the
Ambiguity?
ambiguity is somewhat what I enjoy about this. Like, because that's a human being, right? Like you guys probably don't know my emotions I've gone through today. I certainly don't know the emotions you three have gone today. And when a movie portrays where all these big emotions are going on, I don't always need to be hammered over the head like this is what they're thinking. Like, I know some could argue that that's poor storytelling if you don't know, but it feels more human to me, and I can appreciate that a lot more.
Yeah. How do I say this? I mean, I think that's the thing, right? It's like, to you, we don't know what you're feeling, but if you want to tell us your story, you have to tell us those feelings, otherwise we can't connect with you, right?
But
And
what-
I
go ahead.
and to me, that's, I want to know who you are. In this case, it was Ben Tyler
Mhm.
and Taylor.
No, Tyler.
Tyler.
Okay.
God, it's good to be right. Uh,
I'm never right, so you should have known you were right when I said to be
Well, I
honest.
had an 83.6% chance. No, I mean, and I do realize that in the bubbles of the world, that being human is not knowing all there is. Like all of the, of all of us, we only know so much of each other. We don't know what you're going through in the last month, the last day, the last year, and that's real life. But I mean, when we get into this, why do we want to hear him? Why do we want to see him? Do we want to see just that 1 week of whatever? I don't understand. I guess I don't understand the appreciation of not understanding something and being accepting of it.
I like thinking, for me personally, and I'm not going to say anyone else is wrong, because I understand the criticism fully. For me, I like going back and like trying to think, well, what's he thinking here, and what would I be thinking? I appreciate that kind of self-reflection. I can appreciate a movie that makes me try to think, I'm not sure what he's thinking, and I'm not sure what I would be thinking in there either. But I get that he's got to go on this thing of self-discovery,
See,
right?
But
And maybe that's what they were going for, is not letting you know exactly how he's feeling or thinking, so that you could put your own emotions in there.
I'm glad they didn't go for the cheap, dramatic. Well, like they could have made the cancer much more dramatic, and they chose to guess this is what we're focusing on. Him,
what were
and
we
himself.
focusing on?
Just him going for his journey that he went on,
So why is he going on the journey?
because
he is cancer.
because he's always, what's the term I'm looking for? Because he's always settled in his life. That's why he's gone on this journey, because he's
Mhm.
always settled, and this is his time to be like, I'm going to do this for me, and I'm not going to settle. But we got to wrap it up. This is a beautiful Canada Day. We've got some fireworks here beginning in the next hour. So,
Yeah, we get to go celebrate now.
I know.
yay!
Oh, you sound so thrilled.
Oh, I got to work in the morning, so
So do
too.
I. Except
So
for
do I.
my version
Oh.
of work. I got a dog coming to expect units. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, you got a dog inspect, what, like drug dog?
No, working bed bugs.
Oh yes, we did know about the bed bug
Yes.
problem. I didn't know they had bugs to sniff that, eh?
Yeah,
Dogs.
they have dogs that can sniff them
Yes,
out.
yes. When I said bugs to sniff
Yes.
that,
We're bringing
clearly
in a
meant
bigger bug to sniff the little bugs.
that would be impressive.
Vincent D'Onofrio from Men in Black. It's fine. So, it's his birthday today, by the way.
Oh, is it?
76.
Oh,
Who?
D'Onofrio.
Who?
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Kingpin.
Oh, okay, that guy. I have no idea his name. I never knew his name.
I would have never guessed he was that old.
Yeah, right?
But yeah, no, we've got. I've
Oh,
got.
wait, no, sorry, it was someone else 76. We're going. Go on.
But no, that's pretty much all of that, and we're starting cement. So
Mm.
fun times.
Oh, and we've got some exciting scout stuff coming
We
up.
do have exciting scout stuff coming up, which I actually need to talk with you about.
Yes, we need to. I've been meaning to talk to Brody all week. I lost everybody's phone number, so yeah, it's been a week.
I can send you Brody's.
Yeah, Mike, I know you had a busy weekend here, and you had some exciting stuff coming up.
Oh, we went to a wedding in what the heck did I name that?
You don't remember the
Some
person's
crazy
wedding?
place out by Bragg Creek, Azeroth Minto, whatever. I can't remember. It was this beautiful place. Went to a wedding there. Had a fun time there. Got to meet my wife's my wife's son's girlfriend, which is also my son. and
Oh,
his
so
girlfriend as well.
my wife's son's girlfriend. Okay.
Yeah, so that was fun. Still building on for Midsummer Night's Dream. We're going hard. We performed today on stage, even though the mics were cutting in and out. That was fun. End of August, we're doing it in the park by the Grand Drive Gazebo. Come check us out there. We're working for donations. Come see us out. Drop us what you can. And then the next week, we're performing at the Bailey Theater. Final night is September 1st. September 1st is our final. It's actually probably going to be a matinee at the Bailey Theater. Come check us out there. And in the fall, we're looking for performers for the Gong Show. Come check us out and give us a shout. Any of these guys will know how to get a hold of me. So we're looking for performers and everything else. So he's itching his wrist. So we'll go because we got a bug bite on his wrist.
Corey, what do you got to say to the people?
You know what to do. Follow us. We got TikTok. We got Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff. Of course, Spotify, where all you lovely people are listening to us. I can count to probably one hand. But thanks for listening again. Great Canadian show.
Is that it?